I saw this video recently, I guess, where one of the girls went up and, there's three girls and one guy talking about how men don't value work ethic, in the opposite sex as much as, women do amongst each other. And, I happen to live with two, women, and I only have sisters. Like, I don't. Yeah, like, almost, growing up, my best friends were members of the opposite sex. The people that have contributed the most to my life and helped me out the most were all women, but I find myself watching this, and I can't help but, self-reflect on things and realize, you know, one of the more, I guess, frustrating aspects of dating for me, right off the bat was just the fact that, or we were all young, you know what I mean? And we didn't have a lot of capital to ourselves at all. And so it meant that, people were basically stuck, working almost all the time and never actually got much of a chance to actually see each other at all. And, I am self-aware enough to realize that, I'm more sensitive than the average male, but I've had issues integrating despite all this because my own experiences have given me an incredibly thick skin to withstand being bullied and criticized by other people because I mean I just had to. I would never have survived my schooling experience if I hadn't have developed that sort of, just insensitivity to what people say and what people think, and just that lack of concern for, pleasing other people, it wouldn't have been. So, the thing of it is, and the devil in the details here is just that, I see these girls talking about how, they want a man who works harder than them, and, all I can think is this very sarcastic thought, which is, basically because Elon Musk's marriage to Justine Musk went so well, and that's just it, as much as we like to ignore it, and, we and I didn't wanna believe it at first because I didn't like what was being said because it was basically saying, that the rich just work harder than the rest of us, and that's why they're rich, and I don't think it's really that simple, but, the truth of the matter is that the guys that have, really, really powerful work ethic who, are the CEOs and the billionaires of this world, those guys are up before the sun rises, closer to 4 o'clock in the morning, and out the door by, the time the sun is actually up and at work. You know what I mean? And then, of course, by the time they get home, it's late at night to the point in which most women would naturally be asleep from their own workday and snoozing at night, and it got me, watching Justine Musk describing her experience, with Elon. Just it was harrowing to say the least. I mean, they have the most horrifying detail of it was just, them having had a child together, and the child coming down with, sudden infant death syndrome and dying on them, and what did Elon do? I mean, he resented his wife for grieving openly and wanted nothing to do with talking about the child that literally just died on them. And I mean, I they'd been through something significant, and he resented her for grieving openly, and I found myself astonished by that, and it got me thinking and noticing the way that Justine was basically, at first satisfied with the relationship, but gradually over time became a lonely, woman who was, detached from her husband that, gradually took over a company that was so large and mammoth that he didn't really have time to be in a relationship in the first place. And that's what gets me about, the executives and the CEOs and the people that are on the top of the corporate ladder that way. I mean, you know, it's true, maybe they do have better work ethic than the rest of us, but they don't have time to fucking date. They don't have I mean, that's not to say that they can't get in a relationship, but their wives are going to be, lonely women who are married to a guy that literally almost has absolutely no time to fucking spend with them. And, I have noticed at the very least the way that, the women that I find myself surrounded by can't even fucking, take for the most part being, criticized on much of anything without, having a very powerful emotional effect about and having an emotional effect on them. And so they are, like I'm not trying to traffic in stereotypes or anything, like but my experience has literally taught me women are more sensitive than you. You know, I don't know how to argue with that because that's what I've experienced. And so what gets me and what grips me about all this is that they say they want somebody that has better work ethic than them, but I would literally bet the house that I live in, the farm, and everything I own that if they actually got that, they would be miserable.